Good morning. Today I was thinking about some of the stories Sam Gipp writes. He records. He picks up stories here and there. This book, Fight On, and I read a neat story here today about just preaching and serving God. The guy named Levi Smith. Levi Smith was a lumberjack in Washington until he was 63 years old. He also pastored a little church. Then at 63, he determined that he should go to Japan as a missionary. So here's a guy who's already had a career in the lumber industry, and then during that time he had a career as a pastor. And at 63, when most people are trying to find a way to retire, he says, "I want to go be a missionary." Packs up, goes to Japan, and we might think, "Oh, wow, it's not going to last," but he spent 33 years there. At 96 years of age, he came home back to America. But after spending a year in the United States, he said, "I don't believe God's through with me yet," in Japan. And at the age of 97, he returned to Japan. He died there at the age of 98. And just a quick thought of we're never too old to serve God. And also, we shouldn't quit until we're done. And we may need to rearrange things because of our energy or our health or whatever. But as long as we're on this earth, God's got a plan for us, and He's got a plan for you. I can assure you that God is not dead. God is not looking down from heaven wondering what He can do with you. And so let's just press on. And the theme of these stories is fight on. Just keep going, and let's make a difference with our lives for God. And there are battles. Of course, there are battles. We're called soldiers. We're to fight the good fight of faith. We're to wrestle. There's all kinds of fighting, wrestling, running terms in the Bible. Run the race that's set before you, and we're at war against the world, the flesh, and the devil. And this old body I'm in battle with this body. I'm at war with the devil, of course, trying to keep me from being useful to God. Excuse me, but let's press on, and let's just if God. I remember the story of that little gal in Hawaii. I'm guessing 20 some years ago. She'd been surfing, a teenage girl, and a shark came along and took her arm off. And of course, it took a long time to recover. And I heard her interviewed. I'm guessing a year, maybe 2 years later. I'm not sure how long, but she was surfing, and she said, "If God didn't want me to have an arm, I don't want an arm. If God needed me to lose that arm for His purpose, then I want to trust Him." And that's a lot of faith for a little girl, a young lady who who didn't have um, things all settled in life, a husband and children and all those things, but she just said she's going to trust God, and let's trust God. Let's press on. On Monday, I talked a little bit about the purpose of the church out of Ezekiel 34, to seek that which is lost, to bring again that which is driven away, to bind up the broken, to heal the sick. The church has got a great mission. And the idea of going to church and sitting around and stuffing our head full of more knowledge and feeling good about some good music, that's really not much New Testament Christianity. You read through the book of Acts and the epistles of Paul, and those people were busy. They were doers of the word, not hearers only. And so I want to encourage you. What is the purpose of the church? And the last, like I said, Ezekiel 34, to seek the lost. We should all be praying, carrying gospel tracts, talk to people, seek the lost. A lot of times Christians seek other Christians to talk to, but that's not seeking the lost. That's seeking fellowship with another Christian, which is, of course, is wonderful. But but Jesus came to seek and to save that which is lost, and we're to seek the lost. Then we're to bring again those that are driven away, folks that are saved but hurt, broken hearts, whatever has driven them away, and we're to try and bring them back. And then thirdly, to bind up the broken. There's a lot of broken hearts, broken because of drugs and liquor, broken because of broken marriages, parents caused hurt, kids caused hurt, the government caused hurt, whatever. To bind up those broken and then to heal that which is sick, and to visit the sick, to love the sick, to encourage the sick, the elderly, the shut-ins, the rest homes. And that's a great work. Now, second part, now that's Old Testament, and that did have to do primarily theologically, doctrinally with Israel. As far as a principle, we can apply it devotionally to the New Testament. But now, looking at the New Testament, look at the counterpart here. And so, Matthew 28, most of you know in verse 19, go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I've commanded you. And so, here's the New Testament counterpart. What did Jesus send us to do? And the very first thing, go. And I think I might have said this on Monday, but that I couldn't go to a church where the leadership wasn't going. I just couldn't do it. And I'm not going to sit and listen to adult Sunday school teachers and pastors and that don't go. We're all different in our gifts and abilities, but everybody can go. In 40 years, I've never asked my staff to produce a certain number of visitors or converts, but I do expect them to go. I expect everybody on our payroll to go. And again, I've never scolded anybody who didn't go, but they know that's what's expected of them. That's the most basic command to the child of God. And if we're in leadership, then we certainly ought to do that, to go. And so I want to just encourage you, go. And if in your church you might say, well, nobody in our church goes soul winning, start praying for another church. Move to another place, find another church, move to another, and live where you live, but find another church within the area. And if you can't find one, then move somewhere further away. And if that won't work, then start a church and pray down, start getting people to pray with you, and start praying that God would help you start a church that would have a soul winning pastor and soul winning leadership. And all the members should, to some extent, be involved, but certainly leadership should. So number one, go. And he said, go into all the world, or go ye therefore and teach all nations. In Mark and Acts, of course, he repeats the Great Commission to every creature, and some of the wording is different, but it's the same Great Commission. But go ye therefore. And then he says, teach all nations. We ought to have a national concern. Now, when we started our church, everything was new, from youth to Sunday school, to ministering to the needy, everything. And we could only do what we could do, but each year we grew more and more. And after a while, we started being able to get involved. Of course, we got involved in missions right away. Our first Wednesday night offering was for a missionary in Germany. We were involved financially in going to all nations from the very first week. But it wasn't long. It was quite a while. It was probably 20 years. And then we were able to start taking mission trips. I'd never done that. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to organize it. But once we got the ball rolling, the all nations matters. And this year, we've had, I think, 5 mission trips. And it's so important that we care about all nations. And so what is the purpose of the church? Well, according to Matthew 28, go. That's the purpose of the church. Who would it go to? All nations. Now, whatever you think politically in regard to immigration, have your opinion, have strong opinions. I've got some strong opinions, but I'll tell you one thing, anybody who comes to our country from another country, that gives us the opportunity to lead people to Christ without having to go to their country. Remember the Ethiopian man that Philip met? He'd gone up to Jerusalem to worship. And so he's on his way back. And Philip got to lead him to Christ. And Philip there had a convert clear down in Ethiopia. He didn't have to leave the country. And so whatever we should do or shouldn't do, whatever the politicians or the government decides to do about immigration, let's get them saved. And if they get sent back home, then we're sending Christians back to their country. And if they're left here, then let's turn them into Bible-believing Christians. But let's don't despise people for whom Christ died. And I cannot like the crime a person committed, but I can still want that criminal saved. And I might hope he stays in jail forever because I don't trust him, but I still want him to find forgiveness. And so, number 1, go. Number 2, to all nations. Number 3, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Baptism is a biblical part of the New Testament church. and every church has got different culture, different climates, different not climate, but a different demographics, a very maybe more affluent areas. You're not going to reach quite as many. You should still reach some, and maybe in an area that's more middle class, lower middle class, you might reach more. You go to Alaska, you're going to reach a few. Go up to the Eastern Arctic, where one of our missionaries was for many years. You're not going to reach very many, and it's going to be hard to baptize there. You go to Mexico or the Philippines, you're going to be able to reach a lot of people, but baptizing converts. And we were, I don't know how long we were here, but we were here a few weeks, and maybe even a couple of months. I can't remember, maybe a few months, but we started having people saved right away. But it was just so much. It was all new to me, and I probably was too much of a rookie to be doing what I was doing. But in mercy, God made it work. But Bill and Sherry Pattison started coming, and so we started baptizing in their pool. And so once every month or so, maybe every other month, or maybe a couple of times a month, whenever we had a few people ready, we just invite people. Let's all go down to the Pattisons, and people would change in the Pattisons' house and come out in whatever they wore. We didn't have baptism robes or anything, and baptize in the pool. Wintertime baptizing was cold. It was so cold in that pool. It didn't have a heater. But baptizing converts. We don't baptize on off days very often. Normally it's Sunday. But this last week, just because of circumstances, we baptized one on Wednesday. And then we baptized four adults on a Saturday. It's just because of work and scheduling, and they were ready to get baptized. They wanted to, and they couldn't get back on Sunday or whatever. So we just, a couple of our staff guys went down to the church, baptized a family of four adults on Saturday, and then we baptized again on Sunday. And every week's not that way, but it was a good week this week. But what is the purpose of church? To go to all nations, and then to baptize them, to teach all nations. So the teaching is getting them the gospel. We don't want to baptize people who aren't saved. So you want to make sure they get the gospel. And it's not uncommon for someone to come to us and say, I'd like to get baptized. Well, that's wonderful. Let's talk about salvation first. And it's not uncommon to find people who want to get baptized, but they've never been saved yet. And so we explain the gospel of salvation. Water doesn't save you. Getting underwater, getting sprinkled, getting poured on, none of that saves you. Jesus saves. And so we explain that. People get saved, and then we baptize them. And so you go and you go to all nations, and you make sure they get the gospel, that they're saved, and you baptize those converts. And again, if you've been going to a church for quite a while and you've never seen you don't even know where the baptistry is, I'm just start praying. Start praying. Somebody should start going, and then somebody should start witnessing, and people should be getting baptized. And then he says, in verse 20, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I've commanded you. And so we ought to be taking the Word of God and teaching it to people. And that's adult Sunday school. That is a Sunday school. People say, what's your discipleship ministry? Well, first of all, there's nowhere in the Bible you read about a discipleship ministry or even discipleship. There were disciples, and I'm not against people using the word discipleship, but oftentimes in our culture, I'm discipling this person. So they meet every Saturday morning for an hour and a half and talk Bible with them for a year. Well, when are we going to get that person doing something? How much do they have to learn before they start serving and getting involved? And so if you want I would prefer to discipleship. I prefer the word Bible teaching, instruction. But when are we teaching them to observe? See, it's not just teaching them. He says there in verse 20, teaching them to observe. And so this teaching thing, it should be teaching the Bible and things in the Bible that they can now obey. And that's the biblical command, not just stuffing their head full of knowledge. We've got too many smart Christians that do nothing with their life. And so our teaching them to observe ministry is Sunday school. And there's adult Sunday school, there's the youth department, teen Sunday school, there's children's Sunday school, all the way down to 2.5 and 3-year-olds. They're getting very simple lessons. And then there's preaching, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. We also, at our church, everybody's different. Before anyone can teach or be in any kind of leadership, we have a 24 Bible doctrines, and we call it equipping the saints. And out of Ephesians chapter 4, that the pastor's job is to perfect the saints for the work of the ministry. So we call it equipping the saints. And there's 24 Bible doctrines, and we do 2 doctrines a week. And it might be one time we do it Sunday night before church, the next time Wednesday night before church. But we teach these 24 Bible doctrines, and then there's part 2, another 24. So when they're done with those 2, they've had 48 Bible doctrines, and they've got worksheets, and we want people to know what the Bible teaches, and we want it to be accessible. So they've got this notebook, have on their shelf, and if they got a question about eternal security or the pastor or Satan or soul winning or whatever, pull that out. They know it's in there. And so we want people to know the Bible. We want to teach them, but we do it in groups. I don't want to just teach one. I want to teach 20 if I can. And so, what is the purpose of church? Well, we read in Ezekiel on Monday, seek that which is lost, bring again that which is driven away, bind up the broken, and heal the sick. And then today, go to all nations and teach them. That's getting them saved, and then baptize them, and then teach them to observe all things whatsoever I've commanded. That's the purpose of the church. I love our buildings, but buildings aren't the purpose of the church. Jesus didn't have a building. And I love our Christian school, but Christian school is not the purpose of the church. I think the Christian school is greatly used today. Our Christian school has been key in putting many people into the ministry, in the mission field, and the Christian work in America. I love our Christian school. And if you ever want to be a blessing, start supporting the Christian school. Right in our offering envelope says school. I put money every week. I put money in the Christian school. My kids are all grown and married, but I believe in it. And the Christian school tuition never pays the bills. Never. I don't know. I don't know many pastors' budgets, but I know one pastor. He said, yeah, I forget what he said, $1,000 a week under budget in their Christian school. And that's just needs. That's what makes a Christian school. People, it's hard to pay private school tuition. We're not a bunch of rich people, but if we all help, we can make it happen. And so the Christian school is wonderful, but that's not the main thing. The main thing is to go to all nations and teach them, get them the gospel, baptize them underwater. Nowhere ever in the Bible did anybody get sprinkled or poured on. Baptism is always underwater. It's a picture of Christ's burial and resurrection, and baptizing them, and then teaching the Word of God. And now look, that's what a New Testament church is supposed to be. And people fuss and fight over all these things, worship teams and all these. Let's get down to the most basic things, and it's all about souls getting saved, so that those people will love God and give God the love and the praise and the worship that He deserves. Hey, I hope you have a good day. Don't forget 3:30 Bible study. We're studying fundamental Bible doctrines. What does it mean to be fundamental? And today we're on the person of God. I think it'll be a blessing to you. 3:30 in the afternoon or 7 o'clock in this evening. And hope you'll join us. And then pray if you would. Pray for God's rich blessing on the church.